This is the AM News. Let's begin. Minority Leader Dr. Akufo-Addo says President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation's address is incomplete, having failed to touch on unemployment issue in the country. Latest statistics from the Ghana Statistical Service painted a bleak picture about the country's unemployment situation. The minority in Parliament is worried President Akufo-Addo failed to comprehensively announce a plan to tackle the issue. We'll get some reactions in a bit. First, here's a wrap of the State of the Nation's address by Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante.
This was President Akufo-Addo's penultimate State of the Nation address. He will be expected to address MPs and the nation again later on in the year or the new year in 2025 when a new government is set to assume the reins of power from him. But the president spoke at length. Indeed, he spoke for more than an hour. And some of the key things President Akufo-Addo spoke about had to do with the state of the nation in terms of security. He speaks about how so many countries in the sub-region are witnessing terrorist activities, but Ghana has been spared.
West Africa is under threat of terrorism and violent extremism, rapidly spreading southwards from the Sahel to coastal West Africa. We can no longer take the territorial integrity of our countries for granted. Indeed, many of our neighbors have already fallen victim and lost large portions of their territories to extremist groups. And Ghana, by the grace of the Almighty, is the only coastal state along the Gulf of Guinea that has so far not recorded a terrorist attack.
But the president zooms in on regional conflicts, the chieftaincy conflicts that he says has the potential of causing some major destabilization in the country.
That we continue to have so many chieftaincy and land disputes around the country, which tend to be breeding grounds for internal tensions and destabilization. Mr. Speaker, I must make special mention of the troubles in Abochie.
2024 election being on the horizon, the president is assuring that as the executive president, his government will not do anything to jeopardize the name and the democratic reputation of the country.
A lot of the responsibility lies on the Electoral Commission to put the organization in place that will ensure that we have credible elections. Government is doing its part to make the work of the Electoral Commission go smoothly. A lot of responsibility lies on the political parties as well, and I hope that the parties recognize that their credibility is also on the line.
The president said, without providing any evidence, that his government, under the leadership of Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, has saved the country up to 10 trillion Ghana cedis in what would have been paid in judgment debts.
The Attorney General has continued in a very effective manner the tradition under this administration of contesting every single litigation against the state and has avoided the numerous judgment debts that used to be given against the state. The Office of the Attorney General, as a result, has saved the country over 10 trillion Ghana cedis. All the evidence is there.
The president has been assuring that the recent change at the finance ministry will stabilize the country's economic affairs.
One of which will be commissioning the Nana Adjumani Prempeh I International Airport in Kumasi and naming the recently commissioned airport in Tamale the Yakubu Tali International Airport of Tamale. Mr. Speaker, we stumbled, but we are rising again. We were bruised, but we are healing. We have recovered our footing. We have dusted ourselves off, and now we face tomorrow with confidence.
Well, when the president ended his State of the Nation address, the minority and the majority leaders slugged it out. We first heard from the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who really spoke about how his side was ready to debate. Well, it appears the minority side are also already in debate mode, insisting that the president did not speak about so many things, including unemployment. You will recall that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sought to extricate himself from the problems of this government. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said he was only the driver's mate. Today, the president said as the executive president, all responsibility in terms of how this government has done in office should rest with him. But the president, of course, will not conclude this speech without some jabs to the opposition NDC, saying that in 7 years, his government has done more than any NDC government in this country's history. MPs are set to debate the president's message on the state of the nation. As usual, is divided on partisan lines. Whilst the NDC believe the president said nothing of note, the MPP believe that the president has really said something in terms of laying the foundation in terms of what this government took over in 2017 and what it's been able to do now. Well, there were also cheers and jeers, depending on which side the people stood. Reporting for JoyNews, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
We can now hear from Minority Leader Dr. Akufo-Addo and Majority Leader Alexander Penyumakin.
We are down, but we rise again under the able leadership he is providing and the future which is assured. Mr. Speaker, we are by the practice of this House ready to debate Mr. President's message. Considering the situation we find ourselves as a country, Mr. Speaker, we are ready to debate this message now. However, Mr. Speaker, as has been the practice, members would want to prepare. And I noticed that the minority leader was jotting down a lot of notes. I need to remind him that I have with me the 2014, 2013, and the 2016 State of the Nation Address. And all of these were full of lamentations. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know what he was actually jotting down. But if it was a debate he was preparing for, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure him that we will face him with this optimism and remind him of the lamentations of 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Mr. Speaker, the Hansard will record me today. Mr. Speaker, the unemployment situation in our country is at a critical point. Yet, we did not hear a word from our president on this matter. Mr. Speaker, out of 33 million population, only 11.3 million are employed. This number includes peasant farmers. Mr. Speaker, the difference between the 33 million and 11.3 million is what I call ninja. No income, no jobs, no assets. I am shocked to the marrow to have noticed that our president, following the recent ministerial reshuffle, has increased the size of his government. Mr. Speaker, today we have a Minister of Finance Domestic and a Minister of Finance International.
Well, that's it from Parliament. Moving on, in our third part of series on the struggles of the National Health Insurance Scheme, we take you to the Bono East region, where some subscribers are lamenting how they are compelled to pay for almost every service. The situation, the subscribers say, has dashed their hopes in a scheme many thought would help alleviate the suffering. Anna Sabit has today's feature.
It's really sad to see that the policy has ended up this way. Because I can't remember those days. We used even to criticize the policy in a way that, when people go for labor, they don't pay anything. And somewhere along the line, we're even criticizing that there will be high dependency ratio because of that. So the poor were really benefiting at the initial stage of it. But today, it is no more like that. I can say most poor people die accidentally because they cannot patronize insurance.
Naomi Dia was a subscriber of the NHIS policy before she decided to opt out. She recounts how some hospital administrators in the Pro East district keyed in drugs covered by the scheme, only for her to be told to buy the medicine from outside the facility.
I experienced something like that in precisely Yeji, but I wouldn't mention the name of the hospital. They queue in, all right, but the prescription was given to me at the store to go out and buy the drug. So in this way, are you not duping the state? It goes back into individual pockets.
This gentleman here who asked to be interviewed on anonymity says the scheme is worse off today as subscribers of the NHIA are made to pay for almost every service provided by the various health facilities.
I think it's getting bad because the last time I visited the hospital, they asked me to even pay for the card they gave me. It was my first time going to that hospital, and they asked me to pay for the card, and which I think that one is free always. But I was shocked when they asked me to pay for the card before even seeing the doctor. So I think it's getting worse.
Malasan's kid brother is currently on admission at one of the private hospitals in Techiman. For 3 to 4 days, Mariam has been cough out nearly 1,600 cedis just to buy medicines for her brother who is currently on admission.
In my own experience, now Mahu Sesiano, there's a 3-4 days in
For the past 4 days, I have a brother currently on admission, and insurance cannot cover a lab of even 15 Ghana cedis.
Insurance to cover. So far, 4 days in almost 6
So far, we've spent almost 1,600 Ghana cedis. They'll ask you to go for medications, and when you get to the pharmacy, they will redirect you to the cashier, and if you don't pay, they won't attend to you.
The situation, according to Mariam, is leading to the death of many, particularly the poor, who cannot afford to pay for quality health care.
Today, if you go to the hospital and you have no money on you, that means you are going back home to die.
But what could be the major contributing factors to the recent underperformance of the NHIS? Some are of the view that corruption on the part of the various health facilities is largely to blame.
I think it's the health workers. That's what I will say, because the system is being corrupt. Everybody, when you get some opportunity, you want to use that opportunity to be a billionaire here in Ghana. So everybody should be blamed. That's what I think.
I normally tell people that all Ghanaians are potential armed robbers. We are bound to dupe the state at any point in time. So I think our hospital administrators, the PROs of the policy, and there's some doctors in the state, they have rendered the policy irrelevant, and the policy has failed due to those people's behavior.
The situation isn't any different in the rural settings, where some subscribers says the collapse of the scheme is pushing them into resorting to self-medications. Ya Margaret is a mother of 6 who resides in Duama in the Nkranza North District.
Because of what we spend when we go to the hospital, we sometimes decide to buy drugs while we're home. Meanwhile, we know very well that that's not helpful to our health, but we have no other option.
To these rural dwellers, the situation is compounding to their difficulties. Apart from paying for transportation from their communities to the nearby health facilities in Nkranza and Techiman, they are also made to pay for their medications.
In the past, insurance covers almost everything, but the situation has changed. We spend money on transportation and then spend
depend on almost every treatment at the hospital.
Others also believe that the only way out is to privatize the scheme in order to save it from total collapse.
I would wish if the policy will go into divestiture rather than government owning it solely. Because when it goes through divestiture, a whole lot of things will change. And I think those who took advantage of the policy and then duped the state wouldn't do it that way, because there will be a whole lot of research into it, and then they will keep a whole lot of negative things that are out of it, and they will realize the positive aspects of it.
Majority of the people we've been speaking with believe that the National Health Insurance Scheme is currently underperforming. They believe the crippling scheme needs to be attended to by those in charge of the National Health Insurance Authority.
That's a third episode in our series on the National Health Insurance Scheme. But meanwhile, the National Health Insurance Authority has expressed worry at the rate some patients are being made to pay for drugs and services that the scheme covers. Spokesperson of the National Health Insurance Authority, Barry Masapong, is urging patients who are charged for services and drugs listed under the scheme to seek refund once they can show their receipts.
Medicines that are covered under NHIS, as well as the services, are being paid by NHIS.
And hospitals are saying that we don't have. So you have to go outside and buy.
No, it's a different situation when they say we don't have the medicine, and so we want to prescribe for you to go out and buy.
That medicine is covered by the NHIS.
Covered. If it's covered and they prescribe it for you, just take your card and the prescription, go to any pharmacy that we work with. We also deal with pharmacies and chemical shops. They can give you the medicine without taking money from you. So now the question begs for answer. Why is it that when a member takes his or her card and a prescription form to a pharmacy, they give them the medicine without taking money from them? But when the hospitals give them the same medicines, they take money from them for the medicine. It means NHIS indeed is paying for the medicines, but somebody is trying to look sharp. So to help us also deal with this thing and get your money back for you, you need to insist on receipt. Never pay any money anywhere without insisting on receipt, as far as NHIS services is concerned. Because it is only at the back of you receiving or taking receipts that we will be able to verify whether what you paid for is actually supposed to be paid for, or it's rather paid by NHIS, and so nobody is supposed to take your money for that.
Away from that, born to a trader and a farmer in a small community near Akufo-Addo in the eastern region, 30-year-old Dr. Alice Aman has emerged as a global skills development specialist and advocate with a strong determination to give back to her community, country, and the world. Her NGO, Education and Aspirations Hub, recently returned to her home region to introduce 500 girls to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, technical vocational education training, STEM TVET, with plans to reach more individuals in the days ahead. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
A ceremony at the respected University of Cambridge as Dr. Alice Aman received her doctorate degree after her PhD studies.
Alice Amiga.
From humble beginnings to what many describe as the pinnacle of education.
I am Alice Aman, a proactive and determined young Ghanaian who believes in the power of education.
In this video, a young Alice Aman shares her passion for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, technical vocational education training, STEM TVET. Before age 30, she worked on youth career guidance, youth counseling, and skills development with national, regional, and international organizations such as the Commission for TVET, the World Bank Group, UNESCO, and more. In this interview, she talked about her humble beginnings and how education helped her to attain her dreams.
And I myself coming from a background that is largely from a rural context in Eastern region, a community called Boedria, very close to Akufo-Addo, but Akufo-Addo, Boedria.
Boedria.
Yes, Boedria. And so in honor of my own journey as a young woman coming from being first generation university graduate, going on to University of Oxford to do my master's degree in comparative and international education, and then going to University of Cambridge to do my PhD in education. I decided to specialize in education.
Right.
It is 9:15 and 500 girls drawn from various senior high schools have gathered for the STEM TVET Awareness Day organized by Dr. Alice Aman's NGO Education and Inspirations Hub. The event aims to inspire girls to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and technical vocational education training STEM TVET. There's also a practical session to introduce them to the field. As the event unfolds, various speakers take the stage to emphasize the importance of STEM TVET for girls. Director of Programs Afia Gbenyu encouraged the students to consider STEM TVET as a viable career option, highlighting the underrepresentation of women in these fields.
We look forward to inspiring all of you that are gathered here to consider STEM TVET as an option, as a career path. And this is because, for most often, the statistics tell us that there are few females in this sector. Even though there are vast opportunities there, there are few females in this sector. There's also the misconception of what TVET is about. And so it makes it difficult for a lot of young women to want to explore that as an option. You would be exposed to the various career options that are here. And I hope that you take advantage to be skilled. What was the slogan? To be skilled, to be empowered, and capable. Now you're going to be skilled.
A member of Parliament for Akwitia, Kenya Abochie, pledged his support for the project, promising to advocate for its success.
Looking at the numbers, I'm very, very impressed. The attendance alone indicates that in the near future, we are going to have multiple numbers as compared to the beginning of this particular program.
Co-founder of the Ghana Robotics Foundation Academy, Dr. Yaokreku Yirinchi, stressed the significance of STEM TVET.
When it comes to STEM and then TVET related vocations, almost endless, from plumbing to tiling to coding to medicine to developing gadgets like cameras, mobile phones, glass work, microphones, speakers. I mean, all of those things. The most important thing now for you is how you focus on your subjects right now. You need that knowledge to transition into anything.
CEO of the African Center for Technical Training, Penelope Brooke, echoed this view, proclaiming STEM TVET as the future of work. Founder of the Practical Education Network, Heather Beam, called on the government to collaborate with private individuals in developing STEM TVET initiatives in Ghana, emphasizing the importance of collective efforts in advancing education and training in these crucial fields.
A lot of opportunity in the field of coding and programming, as has just been shared. Software developer, data scientist, AI engineer. And of course, on the mechanical side, there's so much you can do. Mechanical engineering, you can get into the TVET specific professions, plumbing, carpentry, and so on. With electrical background, you can get into electronics. If not doing an electrician work as a TVET person, rather as an engineer, you can be building circuits, designing circuit boards, using microcontrollers like we just saw.
The event served as a platform for empowerment, education, and inspiration, as Dr. Alice Aman and other influential figures championed the cause of STEM TVET, paving the way for a brighter future for Ghanaian girls in these transformative fields.
Now, still on education, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has rolled out its Accreditation Management Information System. The system, a digital platform, will enable applicants apply for accreditation without having to visit the Commission's offices physically. The platform is expected to bring massive change in the tertiary space in the country.
The manual system of seeking accreditation has been described as cumbersome and fraught with human inefficiencies. But with the new digital system, it is expected to ensure effective and efficiency in the accreditation process. Speaking at the University for Development Studies campus, where the official rollout was done, Director of GTech, Professor Ahmed Jinapor, said the Commission has digitalized the process to fast-track the accreditation process.
As part of the Commission's efforts to efficiently execute Objectives 1 and 2 of the Commission, innovate and positively transform the processes and functions, provide efficient services to higher education institutions, the Commission has digitized the processes of institutional and program accreditation. JTech has developed an online solution that will fast-track the accreditation process, provide timely feedback to applicants with real-time updates on the processes and the status of their applications, and enhance transparency, accountability, and convenience for all stakeholders.
The Vice Chancellor of the University for Development Studies, Professor Seydou Alhassan, called for effective monitoring to ensure the objective of the system is achieved.
So from decision lag, implementation lag, then we have what we call the impact lag. So Prof, the impact, after you have learned this program, build our capacities, you need to monitor to ensure that the objectives that we have for meeting these characteristics are achieved. I will also like to congratulate my colleagues from sister institutions for this show. You have come to show to prove that, yes, we really want to partner with JTech. And I'm happy this show is for quality and accreditation. This is not a showdown kind of show.
On that note, we wrap up for the AM News. So we begin our series of conversations and insightful engagement. Up next is the news review, and our guest is political scientist and director of Center for European Studies, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Please stay with us.